Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of F122 My Team Career Mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day today. We go racing here at our second home race for the team of Trackhouse Racing here. As you guys know, Trackhouse is based from the United States and very excited for this one here at Circuit of the Americas. Although one of my least favorite circuits, not only on the F1 schedule, but one of my least favorite circuits in the whole planet of racing. I have never been a fan of Coda, and well, we head there today, and very concerning as well because, well, we have the OP straight line speed from the AI at a track like Coda. We might be in for a bit of a rough episode to say the least here, but we'll only find out the hard way, I'm sure. I did see that when I was scrolling through Twitter and whatnot that they are well aware of the OP straight line speed, and I guess Codemasters is going to be hopefully fixing that soon here, so we won't be dealing with that too much, but we'll have to wait and see when we get that now, as we would jump into this weekend here in practice. And now we are only just a few races away from the end of the season. We have the United States here today, then we have Mexico, which has a really long straightaway there, by the way, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But then we go to Brazil and Abu Dhabi. So Brazil a little bit better, I think, suited for our Trackhouse car, and we can focus on trying to get maybe an upgrade or two on this car before the season is over, now that we've pretty much got every single part adapted for the regulation changes next season. But then we go to Abu Dhabi, which has got a couple of long straightaways there, so it's going to be an interesting end to the season, to say the least. I am up for the challenge, and I'm excited to see what happens here throughout the remainder, like I said, you know, of this season here, as we would continue to put down some decent laps here in practice. It went okay here. Now, as Coda is a track that I've always struggled with as well, like I said, already not liking the track. It's certainly not a track I've always had the greatest success at either here in terms of actually driving the track here. So it was a learning experience trying to get this F122 car down here. I think so far my favorite track is still Hungary in this game. I really am enjoying Hungary, so I cannot wait to go back there next season. And actually, that was so far our best finish in the last half of the season, and that was a 14th place effort. Actually, even did the tire saving program here. I'm trying to maximize the resource points and limit how much we do quick practice here, and actually the tire practice program was extremely easy, but we end up P16 here in free practice 1, and now we're going to jump through into qualifying here, and it's a little bit late in the day when you go to qualifying here in Coda, and let me tell you, the lighting was insane, especially on the really long back straightaway. You're going to see going down into the corner, the sun is just beating down on you, and it is so hard to see into the apex actually, but you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a moment now, as we slip our helmet on and get ready to go here for this first qualifying session. Can we make it into Q2? I would say unbelievably unlikely with the straight line speed situation here at Circuit of the Americas, but we come through setting as hopefully a decent lap here. Lap 1 always a bit rough, but look at what we're dealing with the sunlight down into the apex here. You can kind of see what you're doing, so it's not terrible, but it was certainly a bit of a distraction, to say the least here. But this first lap for myself was overall pretty rough here. Now, as we came through the penultimate corner right there, that was probably actually my best corner of the whole qualifying lap. This whole kind of final bit of corners was actually relatively decent, but we come through for a P6 at the time, but it was down to P21 behind our teammate of Oscar Piastri. For our second lap, on the other hand, though, we had actually managed to find a ton of time throughout this second and final lap here now, as we were able to get through the S's so much better, gained about 0.3 of a second because of the S's, and then we're up by about 8 tenths of a second nearly here towards the end of the lap, and then through this final sector we were able to gain a good chunk of time as well. So we're closing in on a full second better, similar to what we did in Japan here, as we come through this sweeping right-hander, and there we go, just about a full second better there through the penultimate corner. Got through there relatively well, actually even better than the last lap. Now down into the final corner though, a little bit slow there into the entry, but we get a really good exit, 1.1 seconds better, briefly P14, but it wouldn't last long. We would be all the way down once again as usual to the very bottom of the grid with this Trackhouse car. P21, P22 again for Trackhouse Racing. Myself and Piastri at the bottom there, separated by about 0.3 of a second. So as usual, some major work to do if we want to get a good finish here, and we're going to head to the grid in Circuit of the Americas, where I think we might be in store for some more grid penalties, potentially even more than we had in Japan. Let's head to the grid for Circuit of the Americas.
Welcome once again then to the United States Grand Prix here in the magnificent city of Austin. It was here in 2018 that Kimi Räikkönen delighted the world by taking the top step of the podium for the first time in 114 races. There's always a record to be broken, so what, I wonder, is in store for us here today? We're racing then today in Travis County, Texas, around the 20 corners of this wonderful Circuit of the Americas. We'll be reaching speeds of around 200 miles per hour here today, and there are plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the two DRS zones into turn 1 and the long back straight into turn 12. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, they've taken a grid penalty, Carlos Sainz and Leclerc, Russell, Albon, Norris and Lance Stroll, Vettel, Bottas, Guan Yu Zhou, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Latifi. Ocon, they've taken a grid penalty, Golden Boy, Yuki Tsunoda and Kevin Magnussen, Ricciardo, Gasly, Oscar Piastri and Mick Schumacher. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat is Natalie Pinkham. Now, our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching for as they go down into turn 1?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get a clean start. And this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space. And finding your braking point into turn 1 as well. It's testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
14 drivers hit with a grid penalty here in Circuit of the Americas. That is absolutely insane here as we get ready to get underway and we move up to P16. And now we have suddenly been given an opportunity here because we're here in P16. There's quite a few cars behind us and obviously a lot of cars in front of us here. But if we can remain within DRS range going into lap 3, we could find ourselves in the middle of a DRS train, and that could change the whole complexion of our race and actually get us a potentially fairly competitive day for our team's second home race of the season. In our first home race of the season for the team in Miami, we picked up Trackhouse's first and only point. Can we get another point here for them today? As we're going to be lights out and we are underway as Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, the two Red Bull teammates, lead the way off the grid down into turn 1. Alonso in position for a potential podium in his final American GP. As you're going to see, Perez was actually able to get Perez was able to get Verstappen off of the turn 1 start there. So Sergio Perez to the lead of the United States Grand Prix here in Circuit of the Americas. You see Fernando Alonso scrapping it out side by side right there with the Ferrari, but down into 4th place goes the Alpine of Alonso, so his chances of a podium already limited right there. But we really want to see Fernando on the podium one more time before he wraps up his Formula 1 career at the conclusion of this first season in this F1 2022 My Team career mode. It was a great start for myself, by the way. I went from P16 to just about inside the top 10. Watch what happened here as we go down into turn 1. As everybody checks up as expected here in Coda, I send one up the inside. Look at all the positions we gain up the inside of even Alex Albon. Actually had to cut the corner and get a track limit warning right there, so we didn't have contact, and then we fell in behind the McLaren of Lando Norris. And I've been talking a lot about Alex Albon here recently, so and it's similar because in Trackhouse we've had at times this season myself way ahead of Piastri, and Williams has been a common thing where Alex Albon has been way ahead of Nicholas Latifi. But not only that, Albon has just been simply outperforming that machinery. We come into Coda actually ahead of Williams on the R&D now. So you can see Sebastian Vettel making a move up my inside into turn 1. He takes P12. But Albon has been in the top 10 multiple times this season. He hasn't been able to finish in the top 10 a lot, but he's certainly been putting good efforts up on the board. And like I said, I think in the last episode, if I'm Alpine, I'm not even looking at taking Piastri from our team and bringing him back into their family. I'm looking at Alex Albon and maybe seeing if I can get him, because he has been certainly been the standout performer, I think, this season in terms of what kind of car he has and the performances he's been putting up. Continuing to just try and stay within the DRS train, and unfortunately I would lose DRS to Sebastian Vettel. We were able to hang on for a few laps, and then we would just kind of slip out of it. We were okay when downforce mattered. Actually a bit of a switchback right there on Gasly. We got ourselves back ahead, but when we were in the corner corners, we were good. We had speed, but the straight line, they were just pulling me so hard even when I had DRS. So that was a difference maker, because if this was a track without these two long straightaways, we would be able to probably hang within the top 12 or so spots. But the straight line speed was a difference maker here, unfortunately, and we were down to now P14. Just doing what I can on the straight line, trying to break some slipstream to Esteban Ocon and just do whatever I can, because you can see Ocon's close, but I'm going to go all the way towards the inside wall right there, just about, just trying to break that slipstream. Here's Alex Albon now under attack from one of his good friends of Lando Norris. Up the inside goes Norris in the McLaren. A little bit of contact potentially there between the Williams and the McLaren driver now, as you see Bottas ready to pounce on an opportunity if it opens up right here between these two drivers, and then Vettel, Gasly just behind them, myself in the distance trying to continue to hold off the Alpine of Esteban Ocon, and behind him, of course, you got Zhou Guanyu and Daniel Ricciardo, Latifi, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Schumacher, and all the way at the back, our teammate of Piastri here. Now Hamilton making a move up the inside of Alonso on a lap 10. Alonso locks up, loses the spot to both Hamilton and Carlos Sainz there, so unfortunate for Fernando. Things not going quite the way he would have preferred with the way things were set up on the original starting grid now, as we continue to run in 14th place. But we were already getting ready for green flag pit stops here, and Max Verstappen still trying to follow his teammate of Perez. It was Perez, Verstappen, Leclerc, all very, very close together. And then I actually started to notice my fuel situation. So I started with nearly 7 laps of fuel in the car. We were down to plus 0.12. We were going to, at this rate, run out of fuel before this race is over. So now, for the last half of this race, I'm actually going to have to go into fuel save mode. But it's crucial to not have a pit error right here from the team as we come in for a first and only, hopefully, pit stop of the day for the hard compound tire. It is crucial for no errors, because we need to remain in the DRS. We had been able to hold on to the DRS at times from Gasly right there, keeping us in this race and in the running order for a decent finish here today. And we come in, and there it is. Another mistake on the left front wheel, and that is going to absolutely destroy our chances here of being able to hold on to some DRS. Guys, we gotta stop this. We gotta get a hold on this. This is just unacceptable at this point. There you hear myself to the team over the radio. Not impressed by the issues here now, as we're on the cold hard tires, so we would fall way out of DRS range of even Daniel Ricciardo, and now we're just kind of on our lonesome here in P15. But our pit crew is horrendous. It's almost like, I think you could say, Bubba Wallace's pit crew in NASCAR. It's so bad. I mean, thankfully our wheels aren't falling off like his are half the season. But we continue here in 15th place, but now we're under attack from Yuki Tsunoda on lap 16. The pit cycle had run its course. It was still Perez, Verstappen, Leclerc. Not much happening here so far in Circuit of the Americas, similar to the last episode in Japan, but Tsunoda is able to pass myself here down into turn 1. We had a nice little battle with him at points in Suzuka in the last one, but he takes P15, so down to P16 we go, and Zhou Guanyu just behind myself in the Alfa Romeo, and he's been having a rough first season here in Formula 1. Has gotten some points, but compared to his teammate Valtteri Bottas, it has been a night and day difference. Bottas has been so strong compared to him, as we go for a through the grid here late in this race, less than 10 laps ago already. Perez, Verstappen, Leclerc, your top 3, they're all close enough, but the straight line speed is somehow just keeping them from all being able to pass each other there. Hamilton, Sainz, Russell now through 4th through 6th, and then Fernando Alonso all by himself currently there in P7. You see Norris, Stroll, and Vettel, both the Aston Martins right now inside the points. So Sebastian Vettel has had a rough season. I think this could be his first points of the season, actually, if he holds on here. Now Gasly and Albon there just outside of the top 10 with Bottas and Ricciardo trailing. Ricciardo actually ran this group of cars down here, so a tremendous drive from him so far late in this race. Tsunoda, myself, Zhou Guanyu, Mick Schumacher all behind us. Schumacher having a rough day. The drivers actually both Haas having a rough day, but this has surprisingly been a tough circuit to pass at. I've noticed that drivers are having a really difficult time making passes here. That's why we haven't seen a whole lot of changes in the running order, but you can see the fuel situation now. It dipped into the red right there, so we're 0.02 laps to the good. Yellow flags behind. It was actually Zhou Guanyu locked up into turn 1, went wide, and Schumacher was able to get past. I really had to go into fuel saving measures at this point though, because we were so close on fuel. I had to actually just really start lifting and coasting into the braking zones. I was already doing the lift and coast, but I had to do it even more, and that allowed Mick Schumacher and the group behind him to all run me down here, which is really unfortunate this fuel situation's happened. I think it's an upgrade on the car that we have to make, because I've never had an issue where I've gone in with plus 0.6 or 7 laps of fuel and actually ran out, but this is the second time this season. It happened happen in Bahrain, and now it is happening here. And now actually here comes Ocon up the inside of us on lap 26. 3 laps to go. We do a switchback on him like we did earlier in the race. I believe, if I remember correctly, it was on Pierre Gasly here. So continuing to do the lift and coast into the braking zone, just hoping that we can have enough fuel to make it to the end of this race. So concerned about that fuel situation, as you could imagine here now, as we were continuously just doing this tactic to try and hope that there's going to be just enough to get me through that final corner and make it to the end of this race. 2 laps to go at this point. Ocon is close, and I know I'm going to get overtaken on the DRS straight away, so I actually decide I'm going to let Ocon go, and then I'm going to try and get the DRS on him. So he's going to be ahead of us just as we cross the DRS detection point, and I was hoping that I could get back past him into the braking zone, but even with the DRS and the ERS on overtake, I couldn't pass him. That shows you the true OP speed in a straight line that the AI have. It is absolutely absurd. That should not be a thing. But nonetheless, I mean, we would continue to the final lap of the Circuit of the Americas United States Grand Prix from P18, which is surprisingly one of the better runs we've had recently here and now. And we're just trying to hold on over Magnussen and Zhou Guanyu behind us at this point. And our teammate at Pietro, unfortunately, all the way at the back of the grid with a miserable day here in Circuit of the Americas. But it's going to be, for the first time this season, Sergio Perez will hang on to come through to win here on Circuit of the Americas over Verstappen, and Charles Leclerc. Lewis Hamilton is going to come through to get 4th place, as now we just try to bring it through with these final few corners. Magnussen closing very, very quick here now as we're going to lift and coast here into the penultimate turn, because you can see the field is still very, very close here now into the final braking zone. Another bit of a lift and coast, and Magnussen's going to go the long way around. I say no, we are actually going to go into low fuel mode right across the line, but we at least hang on, get it to the line. I really would have liked to see what we could have done if we didn't have to save fuel for like 17 laps or so, but nonetheless we end up P18, and I will still take it. Pierre Gasly, though, driver of the day. Let's head to the podium for the celebrations here in Circuit of the Americas.
Flag then here in Austin in what has been another fabulous Grand Prix. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions, and perfecting the team strategies. They got all those things right today, and the results speak for themselves.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team.
Sergio Perez with the W here, and it's been a long wait for him this season after getting his first win last season in 2021 at Baku with Red Bull. I don't know why I forgot all about his Bahrain victory with Racing Point the season before, so I was already saying he only has, what, one career win or whatever, but no, he's gotten finally one though here this season, so he's at 3 career wins here now in Formula 1. So very happy to see Perez get the W finally there, as what a season it's been for Red Bull, and obviously they just couldn't put the fight to Ferrari, but they still have speed, and I'm curious to see which one of those 2 teams, or maybe even Mercedes, which one of the 3 big teams right now, Ferrari who's way ahead, or is it going to be Red Bull or Mercedes, that are going to just find something going into next season with these regulation changes that can give them that opportunity to get ahead of Ferrari, or is Ferrari still going to be able to get themselves ahead? They've had such a good car that they've probably had enough time to be able to focus on making the regulation changes very smooth for them, and with the adapting of their parts and whatnot. But Red Bull is back ahead of Mercedes in the constructors as to end this episode, going in and getting the final parts hopefully adapted. But you can see the engine cover is the final part that we have to adapt on the car, but I don't have enough points for that yet. So that's all that it is though, just one part to be adapted with what, 3 GPs left with Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi, which means we might be able to get a couple more upgrades in the car as well before the season comes to a close. To see me going through and looking at all the stuff we can get here. So going into Mexico in the next one is going to be an interesting one with the straight line speed right there. Can Perez get a home race victory, or at least a podium? We'll have to wait and see. I've had some crazy Grand Prix there in F1 2021 and some boring ones, so it really could go either way, but I haven't recorded that one yet, so I can't even give you a hint on how that one actually is going to go, but we'll find out. So if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time of your day for watching this episode, and very excited to see what we can do in the next one in Mexico City. So thank you for watching one more time. I appreciate it so much, and I will see you guys next time. Have a great day, everybody.